You are tuning in to the Game Sports Show, powered by the Game Entertainment and Media, or known as TGEM. This is the Little Caesars Pizza Special Edition upload. Little Caesars Pizza in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, where there are 3 locations within the community and many more locations nationwide. Little Caesars Pizza is the largest carry-out pizza chain internationally. Convenient, delicious, and cost-effective is a brief yet simple way to describe Little Caesars Pizza. You can order online through their user-friendly online pizza portal. Why wait any longer? Get on those phones, download the app, or get on your computer and make that order right now. The Game Sports Show and TGEM thanks Little Caesars Pizza, in particular Little Caesars Pizza in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, for its support. Booyah, and it's time for the Game Sports Show. It is your host, David McCaig Jr., bringing you another special edition upload powered by the Game Entertainment and Media and sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza. Now, getting to our Little Caesars Special Edition co-host here for tonight's upload. You know him by now, I'm sure. He's a former professional hockey player of over 1,000 games, and he's a hockey analyst for the Game Entertainment and Media. Brendan Brooks. Brooksy, how's it going, pal?
It's going good, man. It's nice to be back. Been off for a while, so looking forward to today's show.
Certainly, it's going to be another electrifying show, if you will. Now, getting to our Little Caesars Special Edition guests, now I must warn my listeners that, of course, these intros are quite lengthy. So you know what? Grab your pint, preferably from Northern Superior Brewing Company. Get settled in, because getting to this guest, first off, holy fuck, he's tough as nails. He's an Alberta boy, drafted 7th round, 227th overall in 2003, the Tampa Bay Lightning. He played for the Old Grizzlies in the AJHL for a few seasons before attending University of Minnesota Duluth, which was before his trails in professional hockey within the East Coast Hockey League, American Hockey League, NHL, and eventually the EIHL. In his career in the professional ranks, he played in over 650 games, just under 2,000 penalty minutes in total. And within the NHL, he dressed for 117 games, totaling 5 goals, 3 assists, and 352 penalty minutes with the Toronto Maple Leafs and Philadelphia Flyers. Within his professional ranks in the EIHL, he actually played for the same team as our co-host Brendan Brooks played for, the Clan. Fun fact, when he scored his first NHL goal, I briefly remember seeing it, I must add, which was in the 2009-2010 season when he scored against the Pittsburgh Penguins and goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury. Everyone knows him as the Flower. You can search up this fella's fights on YouTube, some dandies on there, let me tell you. And we've had some enforcers on the show, but this guy comes up to be one of the toughest on that list. Now retired after his final season in 2017-2018, the one and only Jay Rosehill. Jay, welcome to the show. Pumped to have you.
Well, boys, thank you for the intro. That was pretty nice of you. You dug up some stuff I didn't even know about, but thanks for having me.
Definitely. You know, we like to have fun with those introductions. And you know what? I had that written. I didn't memorize that. I must.
I hope not.
Oh, if I had that memorized, I no, that would be some sort of record or miracle.
We do call you Rain Man for a reason.
That's right.
But I butcher everyone's last name, though, and city names. Brooks, you know that better than anybody.
Oh, yeah, it happens a lot. You did it today, though. You got it right.
There we go. Now, let's go to the post opener. And, of course, getting to our usual post opener, we call it the icebreaker, if you will. You grew up in Alberta, Jay. Were you an Oilers fan or a Flames fan growing up, or was there another team you cheered for?
I was a Flames fan growing up. We were just closer to Calgary, I guess. And my dad kind of liked the Flames more. And then just by default, I liked the Flames more. And I didn't really hate on the Oilers or anything. There's always some guys that just can't stand the other team in Alberta, but I was all good with the Oilers, but definitely cheered for the Flames over anybody else when I was growing up.
You know, definitely Calgary's a great organization, and we actually had Theo Fleury, obviously a Flame legend, on our show. And, you know, definitely the team that they had when they won the Stanley Cup with Gary Roberts, with Theo, with Vernon and all that it was certainly a tough as nails team, and something that you can relate to, being, you know, something as tough as nails. And let's transition to that first topic. We're getting to that topic. I want to start right away with enforcement. Okay, now a role that you did play when you played hockey, in particular in the National Hockey League, the game just seems to be pulling away from that more and more each year, right? Like body contact's being taught later now, for sure, looking out from a safety perspective, of course, which is key. But this is a question we have brought up on these special editions and our news shows. What is your view from the game it is now, which has changed significantly in not only just the past 10 years, the past 5 years, compared to 5, 10, 15 years ago, and which quote-unquote era do you think is more enjoyable? Like when you had the game then, when you played into it, it was now, which wasn't too long ago. Was it more enjoyable from when you played and before that, or do you think the game, the way it's transitioning, is more enjoyable now?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, if you're watching or if you're playing or what kind of player you are. I mean, if you're a softer, skilled guy that just wants a lot of ice and a lot of room out there, and you want to do your thing with your hands and make the plays, then obviously you're not going to be too into the physical stuff. But I mean, to me, maybe I'm biased and just because of where I grew up and what I grew up watching. But that mid to late '90s hockey, like Colorado, Detroit, the brawls they were having. I mean, every guy on the team would scrap. You didn't just have like one or two meatheads who go and do like a staged fight for no reason, and it's just kind of a hug fest. And it's not just kind of scripted almost, but just every guy is just going to war. Everyone's leaking, everyone's sweating, bleeding. I mean, the intensity is just through the roof. I don't think you could watch or play any better hockey than that. So I think that's the best hockey to watch and to play. But as far as nowadays go, I mean, there's no denying how good the league is, how good the players are, how skilled they are. I mean, if you just go watch the highlights, I mean, the highlights that you watch are just ridiculous, right? What these kids are doing these days. And I think it's kind of the same with any sport you look. These kids have been specializing in this sport since they were 8, and they've had nutritionists and sports psychologists and strength trainers, and the list goes on and on with what they've done to put into their game. And I think that's why you're seeing these ridiculously skilled players in every sport these days, and hockey's no exception. But I mean, personally, I liked the physical stuff. I love watching the physical stuff. I was a little more frustrated right when I kind of retired at where the game was at, and I think I've probably chilled a little bit on it now. But to watch the game, and when some intensity starts to come into play and things start to boil over, you just watch the refs come and just cut it down. They jump in on the game. They put one guy in the box. They settle it all down, and they won't let that intensity kind of rise, which I thought was the best hockey in the world to watch and be part of. So it does get frustrating, but after watching some playoff hockey and whatnot, it's a little bit better brand for sure. Guys are still running each other, getting each other's face. So it's hard to say, but personally, I wish this tough stuff was still in there, and the guys and the refs would let it play, and it wasn't such a power play penalty kill game. But there's no denying the skill the kids have these days.
Look, so you know about fighting.
Yeah, I fought a lot. Not too many guys of Jay's size, but I mean, it was something I did a fair amount of, in the AHL and that. But I think the game's definitely, as Jay said, it's getting a little softer, and I miss the old time hockey. I miss the '90s hockey, the fights. Even the fans looked even more into the games back then. When you watch the old games that have been on the TV, and I can't get over how great, the fans are there. They just seem like more diehard than they are at the moment.
They do, and like teaching hitting too at a later age, right? Like I'm not too sure what the regulations are in Alberta. I think it follows everything with Hockey Canada. To be the same, but from teaching like hitting at a later age, you have people that aren't really hitting until the Pee Wee Major, the bantam level, which I think is absolutely absurd, right? Like you have somebody who is going to be 13, 14, 15 years old, whatever it may be, top of my head, and I'm not getting ages right, but you have kids that are going to be in their teenagers that are going to be starting to hit. They're not going to know how to do it properly, right? Like you got to learn at that young age, okay? And you have to learn how to properly hit, which actually transitions to that aggressiveness in the game where you can control it. Now, when kids get hit in the bantam level, when they first do get hit, they're going to get frustrated. It's going to cause them to do something stupid, in my opinion, where the game is getting softer. But the way it was before, Jay, when you were there, when you had the Big Net, when you had the Fraser McLarens, the Colton Orrs, the Marty McSorleys, if you want to go that far back, those are players that are needed to be in the game. Like obviously in today's game, you have Ryan Reeves, you have some guys that are known as tough, but no offense to Ryan Reeves, that guy wouldn't even think about dropping the mitts with him ever, nor would I probably drop the mitts in general. Okay, but there's a lot of tough guys, including yourself, Jay, that would give him a very good go. Okay, from when I remember watching the game, from the early to mid to thousands to the tens, it's completely changed. And the skill out there, you got guys that are like Mitch Marner size, or you have guys that are Cole Caulfield size, where when they're playing in playoff games, they wouldn't have left the playoffs without something broken, right? They would have had to have those people like the Ryan Reeves or the Bisnets yourself, guys protecting them in those big games.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it goes without saying that it's changed. I mean, Ryan Reeves is like the first guy that comes to mind when you think of like the toughest guy in the game right now. But I mean, he was in the league when I was in the league, and he wasn't the toughest guy in the league at all. But certainly tough, and he always was, and he is. But he wasn't the number one go-to guy by any stretch. I mean, you go back to like the Boogards and some of those big boys, it's just like scary. And they were getting out of hand at the time where at I don't know what you'd call it, maybe '07, '08 or something, like some of these big guys that could hardly skate and were kind of shouldn't have really been in the league at all. You got to kind of bring something besides the toughness factor, but that's definitely gone. And Reeves has done a great job keeping himself in the league. But it's just, I mean, even if I were to learn hitting right now, you talk about the kids learning it, and I don't really agree either with them starting off so late learning how to do body contact, because like you said, you got these kids at an age. I remember being 14 years old, and we had kids on our team who might as well have been 10 years old, and we had kids on the team that might as well have been 18. The people are going through puberty at different ages, and they've got their growth spurts hit, and they're growing beards, and they're damn near men. And then you got these other kids who haven't even begun starting, and that's when you're going to learn how to hit each other. I had my reservations about it, but I did a coaching clinic at Hockey Alberta, and we talked about that a little bit. And they say the stats say that kids aren't getting hurt any more than they were; they're getting hurt less. So call it what it was. But if I were just starting off young and teaching, say I'm the one teaching kids how to hit, I wouldn't even know where to begin, because my biggest problem with the NHL is what's an illegal hit, what's legal, what's not. Like a guy like a Caulfield or something just puts his head up his ass basically and drives right down the middle of the ice. He just thinks to himself, well, my head's buried and I can't be touched, because there's no way you can hit that guy unless you catch a piece of his head being that small and having his head leading its way down the ice. How do you body check that guy? Like, the whole head contact thing is frustrating. I understand you're trying to prevent concussions and protect the players and whatnot, but is it body contact or is it not? There's so much attention drawn to fighting and how we take fighting out of hockey, but look at the statistics. The amount of concussions given over fights it's minuscule compared to the amount that happen because of body contact. So if you're really serious about getting concussions out of the game, well, then it can't be a contact sport. You can't allow body checking, because that's where it all comes from. Yet you're allowed to do it. There's legal body checking, but if the guy happens to turn his back at the last minute, or the guy leads with his head, and you know how fast that game is, especially in that league, I just don't understand what's legal and what's not. And they go through the video with a fine-tooth comb and put it in super slow-mo at 5 different angles to decide if this guy's going to get 10 games or not. I just think it's bullshit, because players have no onus to protect themselves. When's the last time you heard anyone say, pick your head up or keep your head up? It's like, it's a term that was used every fucking day when we played, and now it's non-existent. Like, it doesn't even exist. You're protecting yourself by putting your head down and going straight up, or turning your back to the player and leading with your head into the boards. You're protecting yourself, because basically you've made yourself ineligible to get hit. And it's just, I see it all the time, and I just shake my head, because everyone points at the guy that hit the guy who did something fucking stupid and put himself in a terrible position that you wouldn't even think of doing playing 10, 15 years ago. And that guy gets hurt and he lays on the ice, and the trainers come out, and the guy gets suspended 10 games, gets kicked out, and then that guy, is probably out there on the power play. But he put himself in that position, and no one talks about protecting yourself, getting up against the boards, keeping your head up, absorbing a hit. There's none of that, even in the NHL, and it's embarrassing, because I watch all the time, like a defenseman, like in the league this day, they are so fucking good on their edges. Their balance is impeccable. The off ice training that they do in the summertime, it's all one-legged this and plyometrics, and just beyond belief what these guys do and what they're capable of. And then you go into the corner with the D-man and you give him like a little push on the hip, and he just fucking completely falls down, yard sails his gloves and his stick, and crashes into the boards. It's embarrassing. And then he goes and gets a 5-minute major drawn on the other guy, and the coach pats him on the back, and they go on the power play and end up winning the game because of that, because they get 2 on the 5-minute power play. It's frustrating to watch. That's probably the biggest problem I have with the league right now, is it's just they can't decide if they're allowed to play hit hockey or not, and no one's talking about these players protecting themselves. They're talking about the other guy protecting the player who puts himself in a shitty position.
That's a good point. Brooksy, like, how frustrating is it from your end to watch, for somebody who has played, obviously, and it's changed from when you played. You're a bit older than what Jay is. I believe you might have 7 years on Jay, around that area. And
he's a lot older than me.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate that. Yeah, for me, like Jay was saying, my watching hockey now, my biggest problem is seeing these guys turn right before they actually know the hit's coming, but they know they're not going to get hit if they turn. So they instantly are turning and putting themselves, as Jay said, in these horrible positions to actually really get hurt. But the suspensions that are going to come, and they know it. They know the guy's going to have to find a way to get out of his way and not hit him.
Yeah.
The punch and grab stuff too. Like if you watch vintage games that are on ESPN, and myself say ESPN freely because they're a partner of the show, just so everybody knows why I'm name dropping a media brand, is not a flex. It's just because I have the ability to do so. But they have a lot of those games that they have those classics, and you see the games. Like, one of the biggest missed calls in history is the LA Kings game between Gretzky and Gilmore. I won't get into that. That's not a Leafs bias or anything. Talking about the ref inconsistency is what's a big problem for me today watching, and I know that's been an ongoing issue and throughout the entirety of this previous season into the playoffs. But you watch those games in the 80s and the 90s, and you watch the clutch and grabs. You wouldn't be able to skate down the side without Scott Stevens giving you a bruise on your leg or hitting you. And sure, you know what? You don't want to get a huge whack behind the leg. Sure, that's shitty if you're forward. But you know what? Having that big hit, or putting not grabbing someone around the whole waist, but having them tie up against the boards more freely, or kind of using your stick a little bit. That's the kind of game that I miss, is that late 90s, early thousands kind of type of kind of tempo. But now, as a transition with the lockout and from previously, and all the lockouts that they had, and they're protecting their players, and just the overall inconsistencies from the refs and players diving. It's so evident that people are diving, and I obviously Nazem Kadri did that real well when he played in Toronto. I think he was the king of doing kind of embellishing the play, but that's what I see a lot. You alluded to the turning, Brooksy, like turning away from the hit. That is a big part of it. You have a guy like Shea Weber on Montreal, who is an absolute fearless individual and a scary guy if you're in the corner. And let's say you're a small guy in the corner, like a Mitch Marner or something. You turn your body, you take that hit, and you fall down. You're going to get the power play for your team. Now, it's just that the game is so inconsistent from the ref standpoint. It's because some refs call the stick infractions, some of them call the hits, some of them don't. Some of them keep the whistles in their pockets. Some of them are really active on the whistle. Some guys like to have their name echoed throughout the arena calling penalties, right? It's just that is my biggest issue, is the inconsistencies with the referees. I feel like before it wasn't that inconsistent. I don't know if you have any thing to add with that point, Jay, but it seems like the inconsistencies are huge with the ref now in comparison to what it was.
Yeah, I don't think, like, it's funny because during COVID and whatnot, I think is when the classics came on the TV and ESPN. Like you said, there's 80s and early 90s games on, and you're watching, you're just laughing because you cannot believe the hooking and holding and clutching and grabbing. Like, no wonder guys could smoke darts in between periods and whatnot, because you didn't have to move out there. You couldn't move even if you wanted to. Guys just water skiing behind you the whole time. And I don't want to bring that back. I'm not saying that's the answer, because I don't think that produces like the best hockey that we can put out there. But the thing is, I think the refs kind of struggle for consistency because they don't know what the fucking rule is. It's not black and white. Either this guy has the puck, you can hit him, or you can't. It's not, well, you can hit him as long as the first point of contact isn't his head. Like, fuck off. That's not going to work. And it's not working. That's why guys are frustrated. That's why this guy gets suspended, that guy doesn't. This guy calls it, that doesn't. This guy got away with it. This guy got buried by it. And it's too hard to call that way. But I mean, the lawyers get involved and they start suing the leagues, and the NFL doles out $700 million, and the NHL's on a hook for not protecting their players, knowing about concussions, and they can't, as a business, they can't do it, and they got to do what they can to try to limit the concussions, and that's what they're doing. But it's just a game that just can't be played properly that way, in my opinion. And I'm sure the guys like the fact that they're not really going to get hit if they just lead the way with their head and know that no one's allowed to hit them. It's probably nice for those Mitch Marners and whatnot, but I think, like you said, there's just a lot of inconsistency on what's allowed and what's not.
I also find, the game has gotten, you talked about it a little bit earlier, how fast the game has gotten, the speed of everything now in this small arena. I find it must not be easy to be a ref. Like compared to back in the day, you could, you know, I mean, the refs used to saunter up the ice. Now, you know, some of the best skaters on the ice are your refs
Yeah.
and linesmen. It's pretty impressive to watch. But you know, I find the game has just gotten so fast and just, you know, I mean, the equipment's better. The changes, to have just, four eyes there on to make penalty calls. You know, I mean, I just don't know if that's enough right now, and that's why I also find it to be hard for these refs to make these calls because everything's happening so much faster, and I mean, I think that's part of an issue too.
Yeah, agreed. I think it would be hard just to keep up with the game. You're getting on your horse trying to follow the play and keep up with these guys these days, let alone try to watch every tiny little infraction when, you're at ice level. It makes it pretty tough.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been saying this for years is they need to go to the like the big ice like in Europe and keep the game the way it was. You know, lots of hitting, lots of everything because you have that extra time to protect yourself. You know, on the bigger ice. I think the bigger ice would be a huge difference for a lot of things because I mean, it definitely. I played 12 years in Europe. It definitely, if I stayed in North America, I might not have been able to play that long.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they could like try it out for an exhibition, but it's not as easy as just changing a rule or something. Like you probably gotta
Yeah.
knock out a bunch of seats and like make
Yeah.
that
And that's the
make that
problem.
ice bigger. Yeah, be fun to see like an outdoor game done that way or something, just to see what it's like for those guys in that league this day and age to play on the big ice. Would be interesting. I don't think it would be bad.
Then you got guys like Connor McDavid, who obviously is the fastest person ever to skate, I believe, obviously. But you have guys that are really impressive defensively as well. Like for a big guy, Victor Hedman's an example of a defenseman who has good footwork and can literally lay you the fuck out. That's another scary guy. And that's what's the outdoor games, you mentioned that. I love the outdoor games. People don't. But to bring forward something make the ice pad a little bit bigger, guys like McKinnon, Crosby still, despite how he's getting older, he's still Sidney Crosby. Connor McDavid, those type of guys on that ice surface having a bit bigger, a bit more room. Yes, that speed would be there, but to see the extra hitting that Brooksy alluded to would be so interesting to see. Brooksy, going into our next topic.
Yeah, no, I just want to bring up, your fights. I mean, I've watched quite a few of them actually, and you had some really big ones there. Paul Bissonnette, Colton Orr, Fraser McLaren, Thornton, Milan Lucic. Can you, tell me, did you know that you were going to fight these guys before the game when you were playing? Was there any, texting? Did you know any of these guys? I'm just curious, and to fill our listeners in, how before a game, or were you a situational fighter? Because I know we've had guys on the show, they knew before the game and had talked to guys that they were going to be fighting the night before. So I'm just curious, how did a lot of your fights end up happening?
Yeah, they wouldn't. I mean, if you get told you're playing tomorrow and you know that it's because you're playing the Islanders and they have XYZ guys on there that could all scrap, then you have an idea that you're there to, either protect from those guys running around or else, go one of the guys if needed be. But it was very rare for me to know I was fighting before the game. I wouldn't be texting guys or anything like that. Maybe you're stretching in warm up and a guy will come by and what's up, Rosie? Hey, I need one tonight. Like I'll be looking for it or some shit like that, and you'll be like, wow, I guess we're scrapping tonight. But that's usually just a guy that's like in the same boat as you. He's trying to stay in the lineup. He's trying to make an impression. He just got traded there. He wants to, whatever the case may be, and then you might honor that or whatever, and you'll have a scrap. But I almost always just like let the game see what it's doing. I mean, if we're up 3-rip at the end of the first, I'm going to do my best not to scrap anybody because obviously we got the momentum. We got them on their heels. I don't want to do anything to get their crowd in. I don't want to do anything to change the momentum of the game. So you'll try not. And that's usually when guys are coming after you. But if you're a guy that does that, the next time that you're in the other situation, you try to scrap a guy, he's going to tell you to fuck off because you wouldn't give him one last week or whatever. But almost always they just came organically. We'd do a face off and I'd just, hey, are you ready? You want one? Let's go. And then away you go. Or else the best ones you could ever get in are ones where you're just battling in the corner and push and shove, and then a stick and the glove comes up in the face and fuck you, and then the shit just comes off and away you go. there's nothing better than that when you're just already rocking, but like,
yeah, you're in the moment.
totally. And then it's just that there's nothing better than that. And I guess that's just, I love the hockey where it's just pure emotion and it's intensity, and the lid just boils off and everyone does what they want to do. I love that shit. But like if you have to say you got to go, I remember one time I had to fight Mike Rupp. It was Letang. I was back checking. Letang gave me like a whack on my back of my leg, and I turned around and I just one hand lifted my stick up into his crotch and said, "The fuck are you doing?" And then he grabs his fucking his crotch and he falls down to the ice. And then so I get a penalty. Bill McCreary was reffing. He comes in, he like steps into the penalty box and his whole body's in the penalty box and he is motherfucking me as hard as he can. And he's going, "That's fucking American League bullshit, you piece of shit." And he's laying into me and I'm like, "Billy," I'm like, "watch the replay, man." I go, "It's Letang. He's the biggest rat in the world, and you know he's just embellishing. It's like, settle down, like fuck off." He's yelling at me like he's my dad. So then next time I get out of the box and we're doing a face-off, and Mike Rupp comes up and he's like, "Hey Rosie, you spear him or what?" And I go, "No, I didn't spear him." I said, "Watch the fucking tape. I didn't spear Letang. I don't need to spear Letang. Fuck off." And he's like, "Well, we got to go anyway. You know that." And I said, "Okay, we're going." And then it was a TV timeout, so I'm skating around, and then there's a big chunk out of the ice, so the ref had to like stop, and I think they went to another commercial, and they had to fix the ice, and the crew came on. I'm just skating around. It must have been like 6-7 minutes of just waiting to fight Mike Rupp, and it seemed like an eternity. And I mean, you just want to get going and get it over with, but that's kind of the worst thing in the world when you know you got to fight a guy and you just got to wait and wait and wait, like those MMA guys and whatever that got a fight in like 2 months and they just train for the one fight. I just think it'd be the worst thing in the world. I just love to go now and get it done.
Yeah. No, 100%. I was just curious as, we've had a lot of guys and I have some good buddies that, were in the same role as you. And I know you guys really know, when the right time is to go. And I'm just curious, have you ever had, coaches that have, said, "Hey, you got to go," when you're kind of cold, not thinking about it, and said, "Hey, you got to get out and go. I'm just curious how that, how you handled those situations. Cause like you said, you're like a situational kind of guy that liked to fight like that. So I'm just curious, you ever had those moments where you just completely not even thinking about it, and then all of a sudden now you got to go?
No, guys ask me all the time, like, how many times did the coach just kick you in the ass and say, go fight him, go fight them? Like, that happened to me once in my career, and Darren Rumble was my coach in, we were in Norfolk, I guess, and we were playing in Albany, and this guy named Mike Angelidis, I don't even know what he did. He was kind of being a dick out there, but he was coming off the ice and there was a line change and Rumble just started kicking my ass and he grabbed the other guy on the other line that was going out. He just started kicking me saying, Rosie, go. And he just pushed the other guy down to the bench and I just jumped over the bench, saw the guy coming off and I pretty much jumped him. And it was just, and then I was like, what the fuck was that, Rumble? I was like, I'll fuck it. I know when to go and when to. I was kind of pissed off at him, and that was honestly the only time I got told to go out and fight in my whole career, junior and everything otherwise. But I guess I always prided myself on knowing when to, and I think I was pretty perceptive on the momentum of the game, and you could just feel like the ice is tilted, and you're always in your zone, and we're on our heels, and no one can make a play, no one can get any space, and it's just kind of the whole bench is frustrated, and I'll just look up at the coach and be like, get me the fuck out, like, let's go, our line, let's go. And then I'll just jump over and just run around, try to hit a couple guys, and then look for the guy that's willing to scrap me, and then just fucking fight. And then the whole bench stands up, the whole crowd gets into it. I just love the sound of sticks and gloves hitting the ice, and then everyone's looking around, whistle goes, what's going on? Two guys are fighting. Everyone has a fucking stands up and watches, and it's just like hitting the reset button on a fucking Nintendo. Like, everything stops, and then you drop the puck and it's like fresh start. You're not on your heels anymore. Like, the momentum's up for grabs now. And that's kind of what I loved about it, is you could just stop the fucking game completely and everyone watches what's going on, and it happens to be a fight and it's intense and exciting. And then, you can sway a game, in your direction by kind of stopping what's been going on, all the momentum they have. It's such a fast game that momentum's so huge. And if you can stop that and stop the bleeding and reset, there's nothing better than you get in a fight, and while you're in the penalty box, your team scores 1 or 2 goals or whatever, you're like, fucking right, that was I'm probably patting myself on the back for doing absolutely nothing, but it seemed like your heart was in the right place, and you can kind of change the outcome or the momentum of a game by getting in a fight, which is pretty unique to hockey.
You obviously being in fights, and you speak of banging the sticks and the boys getting into it, which is kind of the best thing to have you get that pumped up feeling. There's some people that do celebrations after fights, and I'm a fan of that, the right circumstance, obviously. But speaking of loudness, you've played in a lot of different arenas. There must have been one arena that was louder than some that you have fought in. Do you remember what arena that would be?
Nashville got pretty fucking loud, man. I think I fought McGrattan in Nashville, and you don't hear the crowd really when you're fighting, but you kind of hear it. You hear it other times, like I guess after when you sit down after the fight. But I remember Nashville just being loud for whatever reason. Chicago was always loud. That rink it just depends how the rink's built. Like if it's an all-purpose venue meant for like concerts and shit, it's not going to sound as good as like an old school barn like a Joe Louis Arena or a barn that just doesn't have the best acoustics maybe, and the sound just rattles off the rafters. But as long as they got a full barn with a passionate crowd that is into it, there's nothing really better than it. You're not in an outdoor ballpark or anything like that. It's closed in, and if there's 20,000+ yelling, you're gonna notice it. So yeah, I just think Nashville stands out, and Chicago, and then like I think they can fit 24,000 in the Bell Center, and they're pretty intelligent hockey crowd, and they'd get loud too. You can tell you're in a pretty full barn when you're playing in Montreal too.
See, that's the big thing is like you think of those original 6 arenas, and you played in Toronto, and we're gonna get to Toronto a little bit later in the show. Sometimes the business people sit at the front of that, and maybe it isn't as loud. You can hear pin drops sometimes in the Scotiabank Arena, but it depends on the game. But you have some guys that you played with, obviously, that you fought against, right? Cole Knorr, with your time in Toronto, and I think it was after when you fought Cole when you were in Philadelphia, from what I recall. But have you ever like fought a guy that got traded to a team and you're playing with that guy and you're like, I fucking kicked your ass. You're taking the crown as the tougher guy on the team. Or like in Toronto, at the time that you were there with Colton, yourself, it was a tough team, okay, which is something that isn't as obvious anymore. But you have they were, like as I mentioned, a very tough team, and that with yourself and Colton, as I mentioned. So when you are in the room and you fought a guy, have you had that happen, or have you not had that happen?
I've had it happen where you see a guy in the summer, you're at a golf tournament or doing some charity thing or whatever the case is, and there's other players there, and you run into a guy that you've scrapped. It's usually just, hey buddy, what's going on? And you kind of rub shoulders first, because it doesn't really matter what happened in that scrap. You could fight a guy 10 times and there'd be a different outcome each time, so it doesn't fucking matter if a guy won a fight here or there, or what happened when you guys scrap. Obviously, it can go either way. I think everyone knows that, but it always ends up being like, if you're at the bar or you're at a golf tournament or something, you'll kind of almost buddy with a guy that's the same role as you first, because you have more in common, you understand each other. There's not much to worry about in that way. And I mean, fuck, every guy that you play with that's a tough guy is usually a pretty solid, easygoing guy, and that's probably why the role kind of is attractive to them, because they just want to go out there and do their best and help the team out and do whatever they have to do, because it's just their mentality, I guess. But it seems like the scrappers are always good guys. I remember Joe Thornton was like, or not Joe Thornton, Sean Thornton was, he was getting in trouble with the media and getting suspended because he gave a guy a punch in the face with his fucking glove on, and they were like talking about being assault, and he was getting all this bad press in the media, and they were talking about him getting even more games, and it was just ridiculous. Like, this guy was being an idiot, and he was down on the ground because Thornton threw him down and he gave him a shot with his glove. Like, whoopty shit. And so I said that to the media basically, and then I didn't even have his number, but Thornton texted me and was like, hey, I appreciate that, man. Next time you're in Boston, let me know if you want to come to Fenway or we'll go out or some shit like that. And it's just kind of guys have each other's back that do that role and they understand it. And if you end up on the other guy's team, it's like, oh, good, maybe this guy can take some of the workload. And it goes that way most of the time. Colton was good like that with me. Like I was younger and coming to the league for the first time, and we could have kind of almost been adversaries and battled for the job or whatever, but we ended up just like leaning on each other, and he supported me pretty good and helped me get into the league, and we talked about what was happening in the game, and he was pretty solid that way. So I remember that Orzy was good with me breaking into the league.
Now, Jay, with fighting, okay, obviously they've had talks, and this actually transitions nicely into what we have touched base on the first topic and get into this. Is hitting started later. We've talked about that. Keep your head up, that point they had, which was fantastic. Fighting in general. Okay, obviously you having the role of an enforcer. Enforcers aren't as much now, as we've already alluded to as well. Do you ever see fighting getting taken out of the game? And if so, when?
Yeah, I don't think they'll have to. I think it'll just kind of happen naturally. Like, I mean, the people that are, bitching about hockey and the people that are whining and like to have everyone do what they want to do, they seem to be focused on other things these days. So it doesn't seem like the heat's been on fighting too much in hockey lately. But I just think that these kids coming out of junior, I mean, the rules in junior around fighting are really strict. Like there's nobody fighting 30 times in junior anymore. They're going to be coming up to the NHL, and it's just not going to be in their culture to fight like a whole ton. But there's going to be guys within the next few years that have like almost never seen a fight live and have nothing to do with fighting, and they're going to be in the NHL, and it's just not even going to be on their mind. But that being said, I mean, the game is still the game, and there's fighting in it. I mean, why did anyone start fighting in hockey? It's just what the game breeds. It's fast paced. It's in your face. Its emotions run high. So I just feel like it'll kind of take care of itself, where the numbers will go down so low where no one's really talking about it. And once in a blue moon, if something happens where two guys say, yeah, fuck you, and shed their gloves and fight, that's two grown men making a decision, and they won't really have to touch on it too much after that. I just think that it'll take care of itself, and it'll just become something that happens so seldomly that they won't ever have to like actually ban it. At least that's what I see happening at this point.
That's actually a common kind of point that it might transition out itself from a standpoint, but I miss seeing those fights, and I miss seeing the Ty Domi days yourself, Jay, and those tilts. I guess that's what we grew up with, so it won't be as grown up with the youth nowadays. So certainly interesting to see what happens as hockey proceeds forward. Now, getting to our next topic, let's rewind of sorts and work our way back. Talking about your career in general, which we've obviously touched on a bit, obviously from the enforcer side, but there's lots we can get into. There's obviously you went the college route before going into junior. There's obviously the draft. There's playing in the National Hockey League. So there's a lot that we're going to get into. So the first thing that I'll get into, and I'll let Brooksy get to the draft because that's usually his common question to ask. You went to play in Minnesota, Duluth. What was the choice for you to go play the college route? Was that the only option for yourself? Did you maybe have walk-on options to play the WHL, or was that an option for you to play in general there? What attracted you to the college route more than potentially major junior?
Yeah, I think it was just I was kind of a late bloomer, so it wasn't until like my second year Bantam that I really kind of started to take strides and stand out, and my skating got quite a bit better. It got my confidence up, and just started to kind of stand out a little bit more than I ever had. So by that time, it was kind of too late for the Bantam draft. I played midget trip when I was 16 and got listed by Seattle Thunderbirds. And it was like right away after that, they're like, come to camp. We want to get you in some games, blah, blah, blah. And it was just a whirlwind. And I was like, holy fuck. Like I just started to like take a stride with hockey and make an extra step and start to develop a little bit better. And they want me to go down to Seattle, live in Seattle, play in the dub, leave my, I grew up on a ranch in Olds with pretty tight community. My buddies here. And I was just kind of a small town kid who did not want to go down and live in Seattle. I knew a bunch of kids from the area who went to the dub, glitz and glamour, looking like they were going to play in the show right away. And then all of a sudden they're just working for the gas company or something within 2 years because they just had nothing to fall back on, and the dub kind of fucked them over. So I didn't want to be that player. And the thought of taken a couple extra years in college to develop and to try to make it to the show and to try to get good enough to be, a pro player in a short amount of time. I wanted to give myself a little bit of a safety net of time, really. It wasn't really the education as much as it was just giving myself more time to develop and to get better, because I knew I was kind of a late bloomer. But if Red Deer had my rights or Calgary, it might have been a different story. I might have tried to go the dub route, but ultimately it was just wanting to stay at home and not leave home at 16 and go to the US and play there and start doing the whole dub grind. So at the end of the day, I didn't stay at college for 4 years, but I've got no regrets about it.
Nice. For me, the reason why Dave always says the draft story and stuff like that, because I love it. I was never drafted, so I was a free agent signing is when I had my thing. So I didn't have that excitement of the draft. And I'm just curious, about your story. Did you always know, where you were gonna go? Were you just, waiting for this to happen? Did you think you were going to go earlier or not at all? Like, how did this all transpire for yourself?
Yeah, like I had no idea. Like we weren't like I loved hockey, played hockey and stuff, but my parents were just completely clueless to anything where what's going on, what the opportunities were in hockey. They were just like, okay, you got a game here, we'll drive to the rink. Like that's all they really knew and cared about, really. And it was like other families. I remember being in school and my buddy brought me the hockey news, and it had like Central Scouting's list or whatever, and my name was in it. And I was playing junior A, and I was in like grade 11, and just didn't really realize there was too much eyes on me or anything like that. And I saw my name in the hockey news, and I was like, holy shit. I remember standing in the hallway the first day looking at that going, that's like the NHL symbol is at the top, my name's in it, it's the hockey news. My heart just dropped. I couldn't believe it. So then kept playing that season, and then my coach would tell me, oh, there's a scout here looking, and there's this and that. So then it started to start getting on my radar a little bit, like, wow, this could happen. And I think Central Scouting had another like final list that came out or something that I was on it, and it was like North American ranked skaters. So I think they had me in like the 4th or 5th round out of North American skaters, I think. So come draft day, I mean, I didn't even think about going down to the draft. I did not think I was going to be a high pick. Like I'm playing junior A and in Alberta, and knew the draft was on. It was in Nashville, 2003, and it was the second day of it. Obviously, the first day is just the first couple rounds or whatever, and then I just got out of the shower, and my mom said the phone is for you, and it was a whirlwind. It ended up being an agent or something that I don't remember his name, but he called and he just said, hey, I wanted to be the first to let you know. And I guess he wanted to represent me or some shit, but he's like, Tampa just called your name. You remember the Lightning? I picked up your care package and I'll drop it off with whatever. And I was like, who the fuck are you? Like, I thought he was with Tampa. I didn't even understand it. And then it turned out he was kind of a local guy that was trying to be an agent or something. And he dropped off a bag at my dad's work, and it was like this leather Tampa bag, and it was full of like workout gear, my draft jersey, hats and shit like that. And it's and then I was just like, holy smokes. So I guess Tampa's got my rights now. And yeah, I remember I jumped on the quad and just cruised out to the field and just sat there and just thought about it, like, holy fuck, like what a whirlwind it was. Like my dream was to play in the show and to actually get drafted. I couldn't believe it. It happened pretty quick, and I was pretty nervous but pretty excited. And it was just, yeah, it's pretty cool. You're pretty young, and a lot of big time shit's kind of happening to you, and it's hard to kind of let it all sink in. But I remember that summer I went to camp in Tampa, their rookie camper and whatnot, and away you went, started to do the pro hockey thing. But yeah, that's my story with the draft. It's not big news like guys getting called up on the stage and hugging their parents and shit like that. It kind of was a little bit of a 7th rounder story, but it's my story, so I'm happy with it. It's good memories, man.
Oh, that's the better stories. No offense to anyone who gets their name called up and they got to hug their parents. Those are cliche. The ones where you have to jump on the back. I don't know if you said your 4-wheeler or had to go down into the farm, and probably crapped open a pint, which you're excited about it, right? And
yeah, big time.
That's the big thing is you got drafted and you worked your ass off, as I said, to get to that point. It's not like I got lucky and got picked 7th round, and there's a lot of people who who went in the later rounds that had pretty good careers, okay? And despite, you had a long career playing the professional hockey, and you played a large amount of games in both the AHL and the NHL and over in Europe, so you had that experience. And the draft story is something that we've came across to be known a lot as, because we've had a lot of funny stories. But to be able to say you jumped on essentially your four-wheeler to go into the farm and just basically look up and say, holy fuck.
Yeah, this just happened.
Yeah. That just happened. It's you against the world at that view, right? You're looking out to the world and saying, I did this. Now it's time for me to put in the work and to try to grind to live out this dream. And you did. You obviously played in the Tampa Bay farm system, and then you moved on to Toronto. And I'll say flat out right now, we're going to get to that. That's our next topic, where you played in Toronto and Philadelphia. But when you did start off in Tampa, okay, when they did touch base with you, did they say like, hey, Jay, we want you to go out there and literally break people's noses, or, we want you to work on this and become that two-way power forward that can kill penalties and score in front of that and get in the dirty areas? Or they must have had some plans for you, right, in terms of what to work on, etc.
Yeah, so I was drafted as a defenseman, so I was a D-man my whole life through college, and my first 2 years in the American League, I was a defenseman. So the whole start of the whole Tampa saga was all being a defenseman, and I never had the best hands and couldn't handle the puck the best by any means, but I could skate well, and that's kind of why they drafted me. They were drafting big D-men that could skate well, and I played with an edge and everything, don't get me wrong, but they drafted all those players because they won the cup in 04, and in 05 they changed all the rules with that lockout, and it was obstruction was the new thing. So my first year in the American League as a defenseman, if you put your stick between a guy's legs, it doesn't even matter if you trip him up or if he loses the puck. If your stick went between his legs, they just called it obstruction and you go to the box. And I mean, my strength was like riding a guy wide into the boards and burying him and just manhandling them in front of the net. And all of a sudden that was all gone. And somehow I managed to still kind of play a little bit. My first year in the American League, I had got called up on paper, was told to pack my shit to go to Montreal. And then Habby Boulin had passport issues or something, visa issues, so he couldn't cross the line. So they called up our goalie instead, and they only had so many contracts they could have or whatever. So he came back after going up and playing a couple games, and he said, yeah, all my room service bill and all my shit said your name on it, said Jay Rosehill on it. And I was like, well, I was told I was getting called up. So that was my first year. Then I got hurt a little bit, and then was a black ace in the playoffs for them. And I was with them for what would that have been, like 06, I think 06, and they were playing Ottawa in the first round, and they got shit-hauled the first couple of games, and my coach came up and he goes, hey, I've been told if they make a D change, you're the one going in. And they didn't end up making a D change, so I didn't play my first year. But that summer I was like, holy fuck, I'm like that close to playing in the show. I mean, this is happening quicker than I think, but I'm in a good spot. Tampa likes me, and this is great. Second year pro in the American League, they fire Dirk Graham, and they hire this other dickhead to be the head coach, and he just hated me, man. Steve Sterling, his name was. He just wrote me off. He told me, he's like, you can't play. You cannot play in this league. Just don't talk to me, basically. He told me if the puck hits your stick, put it in the stands or ice it. Either one, I don't
put
care.
It in the stands. I love it.
Yeah. He goes, I don't want the puck on your stick. And I'm 21 years old, and that's what he's telling me. And fuck, did that guy destroy my confidence? I mean, I should have been mentally stronger and whatnot, but I mean, I would get like in practice, I'd just like pivot as a D-man and have to make like a 10-foot pass. And I would grip it so hard, I couldn't fucking even give a good pass to 10 feet. And I just had this constant beam of thought right to this coach's eyes, and he would just stare at me and hate me. And the more he fucking was around, the harder I'd grip my stick, and it started to go downhill, and I was like, this guy's never going to give a good report to Tampa. And then I didn't even have a sniff after that for 2 full years. And then after so 1 year of having that shit show, he was going to send me down to the coast the beginning of my third year. And then he did send me down. And then they got their asses kicked. He called me back up and said, I'm going to play you at forward. I just want you to forecheck and run guys. So then that's when I started playing forward. I never played another D-man until another game D until I went over to Europe. But and that's when I started fighting. As I just started playing forward, I'd run defensemen, I'd get in the goalie's face, I'd just forecheck like hell and run guys, and then their fighter would always just come and fight me. And all of a sudden, I fight 25 times and then 35 times the next year, and it just everything completely changed from a defenseman that like was legit getting looks to play up top to buried and sent to the coast for a couple of games to getting back up to the American League as a forward. And then I did that for 2 years. And the reason I started fighting so much is I was like, these guys are never going to call me up. They won't trade me. My agent already kind of sniffed around to see if they'd trade me. They said, no, we like them. But I had no sniff. So I just said, I'm going to fight so fucking much that I'm just going to get a reputation as this guy and people will know me. And I did that. And then Brian Burke traded for me, and the next opening night roster for the Leafs, I was playing for him. So it worked. I guess I got his attention, and that's kind of how I got over to the Leafs and away from Tampa's system. But yeah, I didn't start off as a forward, didn't start off as a fighter. It just kind of was a necessity, I guess.
Now, once you moved, did you feel like this weight came off you, and you know what I mean, you didn't have to deal with that guy anymore as a coach? You know, because I couldn't imagine, like, you know, as a coach, you would just could imagine what he would do if he actually worked with you and actually gave you the confidence instead of fucking do the opposite. Like, you know what I mean? That could have changed a lot of things, you know, to happen for a young kid like yourself at that time. There's nothing that drives me more nuts than that, you know. It's pretty wild because myself, I was a goal scorer, and I had a coach at one time. He wanted, and because I could fight, I was pretty good at it for a middleweight, but
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I was there to score and play tough, but not to fight all the time. And I got this coach who wanted me to be on the fourth line when I went the year before being on the first, second line guy, and he just wanted me to fight everyone. And I'm just like, it wasn't in me, you know. Like I'm a very situational fighter, you know, max 10 times a year, maximum, you know.
Yeah.
But it was just, you know, you have that coach that kind of just, you know, I couldn't wait to get out of there. I couldn't wait to get out.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, people, they don't really understand, like, especially in the minors there in the American League, like the grind it is. And, you know, coaches' jobs aren't very solid. The teams change the organization all the time. Like Norfolk will be Anaheim's team, and then it'll be fucking Dallas's team, and then it'll be Tampa's team, and then Chicago's team through the years. And those coaches are just cycling all over the place. So their job's not secure. No one in the American League's job. Everyone's trying to fight the other one to get up to the NHL. So you're almost competing against your own teammates. And it's just that kind of a culture. And like that coach, we had so many good players in that Tampa system who went nowhere. And I'm telling you, it was because of that coach. Like Andy Rogers is a guy that comes to mind. He's a first round pick. He could skate, and like he was a defenseman that could go like from forward to backwards in transition so quickly. It was gross. And he just had the confidence torn out of him where he just played his entry level contract and quit the game.
Wow.
And like for like with me, my first year I had success. And the second year I would just dread practice, like just dread practice. And he put me in the place where like that's where I like first ever even felt what anxiety was. Didn't look forward to hockey, didn't look forward to games, and it was all because of him. And it's like looking back, I'm like, your sole fucking job was to develop these young players to try to get them to the NHL. That's what you're hired for. That's your fucking job. And that's what you did. Like that's how you went about it. Like you're fucking pathetic. If I saw that guy in an airport today, I would walk right up to him and I would just let him have it on how fucking terrible of a job he did. Because like, how do you tell a 21-year-old kid who's trying, who needs to learn, who needs to get better, and who is in that league to get better, and you're the coach to facilitate that, and you tell the kid to put the fucking puck in the stands or to ice it because you don't want to see it on your stick? Like that's how much time you put in. That's the most time you put in with me, is just to say that. If we were at the coffee fucking machine at the same time pouring a cup, he wouldn't even say good morning to me. Like it was just, and like you say, imagine I had a coach like a John Cooper or something, who's a player's coach who gets the most out of everybody, who sucks every ounce he can out of their player because they would just go through a wall for him and want to play for him. Like maybe I could have been in the NHL as a defenseman and whatever. I mean, I have no regrets, and things worked out great anyways. And I'm very lucky to get what I got. But it's kind of like, wow, some guys had the stories of these American League coaches back in the day on how they fucking handled their players. It's fucking inexcusable. And yeah, I get a little fired up even thinking about it, because it's just being an adult now and a coach for young kids right now. I just look at how he handled it, and it's just pathetic.
It makes you not be like that, but it sucks that happened for because you already know how to do that because you're a mature person. Where this guy, Steve Sterling, just so anyone wants to know who he is, background of him doesn't fucking matter. That's going to be my response. It doesn't fucking matter. He has a long history of coaching, but nothing where he has any kind of accolades that are worth even mentioning on the show. And it'd almost be funny to bring him on the show, Jay, and get you to come on as a surprise guest and start.
Make sure it's a live episode too.
Just a commie Babcock episode, but minor league edition.
Oh man! If Steve Sterling ends up listening to the show, please message below. We'll make that arrangements if you have the guts. That'll be my call.
It's funny because I was back. He ended up coaching somewhere else, and I was playing against their team. I couldn't even look at the bench. I was just seething, and I'd talk to other guys on their team going, what's Sterl's like, that fucking piece of shit and stuff. And he'd be like, oh, he told me to say hi. He said he liked you, Rosie, and you're a good guy and shit like that. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, he's just completely oblivious to what he did to me. So
that's when you get the puck and you throw it in the bench.
I thought about it, man.
If you did. Now, a couple more topics we're going to get into before we get into our bonus question. Obviously, a quick shout out here to Little Caesars Pizza. Definitely, if you want some quick, delicious pizza, give Little Caesars a check out. They're on social media. And also, if you're in Sault Ste. Marie, if you're tuning in from where we actually are from our home base, there's multiple locations you can check out for that. But if you're outside of Sault Ste. Marie, there's obviously Little Caesars around you. Just make a quick call if you want quick and easy dinner. And shout out to North Superior Brewing Company. I'm sitting here enjoying a nice pint while we talk and shoot the shit between myself, Brooksy, and Jay Rosehill. Now, getting to the next topic here. All right, this is going to be about the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, I'll say flat out here, you got traded to my favorite team, Jay. Okay, everyone that knows
the fans coming out.
Here we go.
Here we go. I've been waiting for this, and here it is. It finally got here.
Finally got here. I had this highlighted the whole entire time, but no, that follows the show in terms of our new shows know that multiple of us are Leaf fans. We have Wing fans and Oiler fans on the show. Brooksy obviously being the Wing fan. Probably the smarter of everybody here, seen a lot of success in his time. But in Toronto, okay, I'm still jealous that you had the opportunity to wear that jersey and play in Toronto. Okay, the hockey mecca of the world. And unfortunately, if you're a Toronto fan, times aren't great right now. I think the word that was used in 2021 right now is disgust. It's not sadness. It's not disbelief. It's absolute disgust. That's the word that's most common trending right now, and that fits it perfectly from the way that everything happened this year. But we're not talking about this year. We've already done that on a previous news show. If anyone wants to listen to that, especially by the time this is uploaded, you can go ahead and do so if you want to go through some pain, because everyone in Toronto that is a Leaf fan are suckers for pain, obviously. When you played there, okay, obviously you spent a good amount of time in Toronto, and you played there from 2009, 2010, 2011 to 2012. And you played with, obviously, having there was Ron Wilson there, which I've heard a lot of beautician stories about Ron Wilson. I don't even want to get into that. Andy Carlisle. Obviously, Rob Zettler was there. My family actually knows Rob Zettler. He actually got me in when I was young to the old Maple Leaf Gardens, one of their last seasons to watch the Leafs play there. But, there was coaches there. There's players there. Kessel, Bozak, Phaneuf, MacArthur, Joffrey Lupul, who's been known as probably one of the most, the quote-unquote, this is not a joke. I can try to find this link. They call him one of the more beautiful guys to skate, which is hilarious. I don't know if that even came from anyone from the Missing Curfew podcast. But they have a team here that, if you look at the time in 2013, obviously that choking time against Boston, it's a tough time to be a Toronto fan, as I mentioned, it's overall. But you spent a great deal of time there with the Marlies, with the Leafs, before you went over to Philadelphia. So when you got dealt to Toronto, what was going through your head? Okay, where you're like, shit, yeah, I'm going to a team, right? You said you started there. You're able to, Berkey traded for you. Truculence was his word that he used, and I think you define that purely. But you have a system that fits your playing style, right? The management that likes that type of playing, game, etc. Were you excited to have that opportunity in Toronto? And any stories about Toronto that you want to share besides laughing at me maybe about how envious I am that you did wear that jersey?
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, the Toronto fans, the people in Toronto do think it's the center of the hockey world, which I think pisses off everybody else in the hockey world. But I mean, that city and that team, like when it's game day, and I mean, you got the CN Tower there, the Sky Dome, Air Canada Center is what it was when I played there. That whole downtown core, it's a very cool city, very passionate fans, and then just a historic hockey team. And yeah, they haven't done a lot of great things, and I think that's the reason they haven't done great is there's so much want and so many people just dying to see them do well that there's just that constant pressure on the players, and you feel it every day. And I mean, I was like the last guy on the team to feel any pressure compared to like you said, the Kessels and the Phaneufs and whatnot. But like the media's there and they're just scrutinizing everything you do. And if you go on a little winning streak, it's like, oh, this can't last, or how long can this last? And it's just this big balancing act. And then if you do bad, it's, oh my God, let's tear it down and shit. And it's just, you can't do anything right. And if you look at the rosters that they've had over the years, I mean, this year's no different, obviously, but the team should be doing better. The team should win. You see some fucking Florida Panther team go on to the second, third round, and it's like, you think if that team's roster was in Toronto, they'd be in the playoffs. There's not a chance, right? And it's hard to win over there. But I mean, for me personally, to go there and play every time you put on that jersey, you go into those buildings, and the way you fly and the way you travel and the way you are wined and dined on the road, and all the resources that are at your disposal, and the chefs that are in the fucking room and making you breakfast and lunch. It's just insane. It's as showtime as it gets. And like, I remember I think we were flying back from the East Coast one time. We just won. We did a kind of a big swing of a road trip, and we're flying back to Toronto, and we just won our last two games in like Tampa and Florida or some shit. And we're flying back home, and we're like, let's get home. Like, we want to go out and party. And then our team service guy, who like hands out all the cash for like per diem and all that shit, he goes up into the cockpit and he's in there for like a minute, and then he comes back up and sits down, and then all of a sudden you just hear the turbines just, and the fucking plane just winds up, and the captain just goes full throttle, and our team service guy just gave him a wad of cash and said, get us home as fast as you can. And they got us home like 45 minutes early in time to get downtown and hit the bars and shit like that. And I went up to the team service guy after. I'm like, you just hand him a wad of cash and he just burns like 40 grand in fucking fuel or what? And he looks at me and he goes, buddy, we're the Yankees of hockey. We can do whatever the fuck we want.
I'm not fucking surprised that comes from.
What a great story. I
Yeah,
honestly, you brought up the media, and you know what? I feel they're a part of the problem with, they're like your old coach you had. I mean, it is a lot of pressure for some of these guys, and it's hard not to read, articles and stuff because, people bring them up to you, as a player, did you see this article? Did you see this one? It's hard to stay away from it and not, to turn a blind eye or, to it. So, I feel like, if that media ever became positive, there might be some difference.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I know guys that like won't sign in Toronto because of that. Like guys that will text other players that are on the team saying, hey, my agent's talking to Toronto. What do you think? And that guy would have been like a big signing, and he's like, don't do it, man. It's like, it's killing my career right now. And like they seem to sign guys that have like a career year in like Dallas or Florida, and then they sign him and bring him into Toronto, and then they expect him to have an even better than career year. And if he doesn't, they're going, what the fuck do we bring you here for? And it's like, it's almost impossible to perform for some of those guys. So it's really difficult, and you can't hide from it because you're sitting, you go for a practice. And I mean, I literally could not get to my stall. Nobody could after practice and stuff because there's 65 media people in there when normally there's like 8. And you have to push your way to your stall just to sit down, and they're interviewing everyone, and like Kadri or whoever, they're like, you changed your stick and you went from Bauer to Reebok, and do you think that's a bad thing? And you haven't scored in 2 games since doing that. Are you having second thoughts about this and blah? And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Do you think the guys in Florida have to deal with that? They don't. They just show up to the rink in their flip-flops and they talk to their coach and they have a game plan and they play, and it's just easier to win there, where in Toronto it's so fucking hard, man. But yeah, they're kind of their own worst enemy with the media there. But if you ever did win there, and if you ever won a cup there, I mean, you'd never have to fucking work again.
Key to the city everywhere.
Totally, it'd be absolutely insane. But
Like,
no, I just
but this guy's such a fucking idiot here. Like when he said that in the media, I love this. One of the most iconic Phil Kessel media moments ever. Well, I forget who it was, but he looked at a media guy after he asked a question that he used to have frequent run-ins with, and he would say, "This guy's such a fucking idiot here."
Yeah, seriously.
But listen, I'm even saying this as someone who cheered for Toronto my whole life, and I tell my dad, if there's one thing I blame him for, it's him putting that Leaf jersey on when I was a kid to influence me to be bleeding the blue the rest of my life. And it comes down to, yeah, it's exciting, to have it, all the optimisms there, but that pressure is so big, and it's unfortunate because the media in Toronto, and this is a media, obviously the game entertainment media, I operate a media company, but I like to say how I'm different than every other media, but everyone says that. Okay, but the big thing is that some media are just, it's so much bullshit. Okay, and I'll flat out say all the stories that they want to do for clickbait, all the stories that they just want to do just to rise out of a player, and it does happen a lot in Toronto, and I think Montreal is also the same thing, a lot of big market cities, and it makes players not want to play there. Players want to go play in Tampa, players want to go in Florida, players want to go to the Western Californias where tax is a little bit less, and, and they're in the heat, they get to go to the rink in their flip-flops, and not be a part of that. It's really unfortunate that the media has a big factor on that. It's different when fans have the factor on a team. It's good to have a passionate fan base, but when you have business people leading the bottom of the dome, I say the dome, but the bottom bowl of the rank all the time, and the media is too much, it makes players not want to play there. That is an absolute fucking problem. But you have Toronto, it's a big city, and the way you brought the story up where you said the Leafs are like the Yankees of hockey, that makes me laugh and roll my eyes because I could see everyone in Toronto saying that, not really giving a damn. It's just because they're just happy to be there, or they just because they know they're Toronto and they can have some of these situations happen and get away with it because the fans are just going to go back next year and not give a crap what happened or what was told the year before. That's the biggest thing. But the Philadelphia Flyers, I don't know if you want to add anything else, Jay, with Toronto, definitely floor is yours. But the Philadelphia Flyers, different. Obviously, Reggie Leach was someone who I was in the NOJHL. He was the coach of the Manitoulin Islanders, and don't ever Google the Manitoulin Islanders, one of the worst junior hockey teams that ever played. I think Brooksy might know that. But they were a team that got defeated 13-1 all the time. But Reggie Leach, they're the stories that he had, and the Broad Street Bullies, growing up in Philly, that's one passionate fan base in Philadelphia. Okay, they're aggressive there, and they are also, I don't think they're as media driven as Toronto, but I know they're popular within Philadelphia. But how was your experience in comparison to Toronto and Philadelphia? Because obviously you had a longer time in Toronto. You might have more stories you want to get to, but I want to give you the floor with Philadelphia as well before we go to our last topic.
Yeah, like Philly was awesome. I was a little bit older and I wasn't as wide-eyed, and it wasn't my first experience in the NHL, so I was a little bit more relaxed, and we had a younger team there, so there's just kind of a tighter group, and it seems like it's kind of the old boys club upstairs there, which is maybe to their detriment sometimes, but it's also pretty cool that they keep all the old boys around in different roles around there, and it just seems kind of more of a family type atmosphere. And even though it's Philadelphia, it kind of like seems like a smaller city or a smaller town almost. You kind of, when you're going out downtown or whatever, you run into the same people and shit. And just going to that market with the Broad Street Bullies background, and they always like playing that way. And when I got brought there, I knew that what they liked and what they liked in that city, and I was happy to be there. And like I said, the guys were younger, and we had a lot of fun while we were there. Like the first day I got there, I didn't know anybody really. Well, I knew like Braden Shen was there already, so knew him a little bit, and went out and met some of the guys the first night I got there off the plane or whatever, and we went to Hartnell's house, and we were having some drinks, whatever, and just getting to know everybody and kind of getting comfortable and whatnot. And Hartnell had this scooter out front that he like would ride to the rink because he's an idiot basically, and he had this little Vespa that he'd cruise around. So of course I fired up and I just start bucking it up and down the street a little bit, and I'm doing catwalks or some shit, and then I don't even know, a cop kind of cruised up or whatever, and I was like, oh no, I got no helmet on and nothing's really legal about it. So I just pin it and I just go flying across like this church grass and through the back of the church and into this alley and just take off. And the cop just kind of looked at Hartnell and G and the boys and were like, the fuck was that? And just kept going. And it was probably 20 minutes later, I come creeping back the back door and I'm like, are we good, boys? And everyone's just dying laughing like, you're an idiot, man. And so I kind of introduced myself to the boys that way, and we ended up having a lot of fun there, and got into a playoff series against the Rangers, and just that was just good memories there, man. Like I said, I was a little bit more comfortable, and I had a son that was born that summer before I played there, and it was just good memories, man. Living downtown Toronto or Philly was awesome. Toronto was like the big show, and the your first taste of it all, and super intense in every way, and like unbelievable memories and the prestige of that organization and stuff. And then Philly was kind of being a little bit more comfortable, and getting to play a little bit more. It was kind of unfortunate that Laviolette got fired. He really liked me, wanted to play me every night, and signed me to like a 2-year ticket that would keep me there for a couple of years that I never had before. And he got fired 3 games into my contract. So that kind of fucked me a little bit, but I thought it would be good when Craig Berube came in, but he ended up only playing me maybe 34 games that year or something like that. But it was what it was. I wish I could have stayed there a little bit longer, but it seemed like I was there a long time because I got a lot of good memories and some good friendships.
You actually played with, this is, people know this, my favorite hockey player actually growing up was Vincent Lecavalier.
Yeah.
You played with Vinny Lecavalier, which, after the Tampa time where he was still one of the Tampa greats, of course, he went to Philly and then he retired off in LA in the 2015-2016 season. And when he retired, he was 35 years old. People may think that he was actually a bit younger. He was 35 years old. But playing with Vincent Lecavalier, I got to know from just my own personal standpoint, was he that leadership type guy all the time? Is there any stories that you could share with Vincent Lecavalier? That's just one player that I'd highlight. And you actually played with guys who may have been more intrigued with stories like Claude Giroux, Wayne Simmons, of course, Scott Hartnell, Sean Couturier. The list goes on. And also you did have Ray Emery on the team there as well, which obviously was a tragedy there with Ray Emery. But you had some players that actually have a great background, and like Steve Downey, there was a guy that, is a tenacious player. Overall seems like a great group of guys in there. They always had the right chemistry in Philly. But any stories about Vinny Lecavalier that you would be able to share?
Yeah, Vinny, he was awesome, man. Like he's the nicest guy, the classiest guy. Like he's just class, right? And always likes to have a good laugh. And I mean, you look at him and his history and what he'd done, and he'd made like $100 million, and it's just like you look at him and he's always just class, and he's pretty awesome. And he changed beside me at the game rink at the Wells Fargo, like our street clothes we'd change, and he was beside me. I remember one time it was like payday or whatever, so our envelopes with our check in it or whatever was in the locker, and Vinny had got bought out by Tampa, right? So he's got two envelopes in his stall, and we're kind of opening them up or whatever, and you check it out, and I'm looking over his shoulder at him just to compare, right? And then he kind of looks out the side of him, and he's got 2 envelopes and they're both open. He looks over me, he goes, "Double dipping, baby." Because who the fuck knows what he's making between his buyout and his contract with Philly. But he earned every dollar. He was awesome, and he was a wicked guy to have in the locker room. I remember one time we were going to play Pine Valley, which is like top 3 courses in the whole planet for golf courses, and it's like 10 minutes away from the practice rink in Jersey. And we were supposed to play it, and he threw his back out that morning, and I was like, my fucking clubs are all shined up, and like, I can't believe I'm going to play this course. And he threw his back out and ended up having to get worked on all morning long, and he skipped the skate, and he's like, if I can just swing a wedge, Rosie, we'll go out and we'll play. And he was completely laid out, and his back ended up being fucked all year. So he wasn't milking it, but he's like, don't worry, we'll get out there in the spring, and we never did. So if he's listening, he owes me around at Pine Valley. But solid guy, that guy, and everyone that played with him really speaks highly of him.
I want him to come on the show too if he's listening too, so don't hesitate to reach out. Favorite hockey player. I have his old I'm a Leaf fan. I had his Tampa Bay jersey when I was younger. Come on, you don't do that when you cheer for a team. When you put on another jersey, it burns.
You're a fan that way, I guess, eh?
100%. I could say that I was a Jay Rosehill fan and had number 38 Leaf jersey too. I was gonna do that today. I was gonna go get a Jay Rosehill jersey as a little joke, put it on the background here, and have the video going. But we all know that's with Brooksy not wanting to do video today. No, I won't throw you on.
Oh yeah, blame me, eh? Jesus.
You'd have to go to the bottom of the barrel of eBay to find one of those jerseys, buddy.
Brooksy, I'll transition you now to our final topic before we get to our bonus questions, we call it, in our conclusion. Something that you both will have a lot more in common to talk about than me, of course, as with familiarity playing the EIHL. So I'll let you take it away for our next topic.
Yeah, I just want to, bring up, how you ended up, heading over to Braehead. Obviously Ryan Finnerty was the coach, I'm pretty sure then for you, from what I remember. He was a good buddy. I also played there the year before you got there. So, I'm just curious, how did you, decide to make this decision to come overseas and to go to the EIHL, besides probably Ryan calling you 1,000 times?
No, well, yeah, so I was getting a little bit older, and I mean, some of the same bullshit that I dealt with when I was really young, I was dealing with again, not playing in the show anymore, fighting, got pretty much pulled right out of there. I think the year I played in the minors again after Philly, there was 13 guys I counted, including myself, that were full-time guys in the NHL the year before that either didn't re-sign or got sent down the next year. And so it just kind of wiped out pretty much the whole league, especially that Eastern Conference. And I kind of saw the writing on the wall that I wasn't going to be up in that league anymore. And then I was kind of getting treated kind of half shitty by some coaches, or there was some not a misunderstanding, but I thought maybe I was going to play a little bit, and I was just basically there to be a locker room guy, and just thought the coach was kind of just gave me zero fucking respect. And if I said anything, he'd turn it around on me, or just kind of was like, I'm done with this shit, So I was looking for something different, but we were talking to Phoenix in the off season, and they wanted to sign me, and Chayka offered a contract, and it was more than likely to play on the Roadrunners in Tucson. And then if things went well, who knows, you could get up with Phoenix a little bit, but they offered me a contract. They said, get back to us next week. So I thought about it. I researched a bunch of shit and called some people, and then we were going to take the deal. So my agent calls back to Chayka and says, yeah, we'll take that deal. He wants to come and play. And then he's like, oh yeah, shit, sorry, I gave that contract to someone else. He's a guy that's already in our system. We wanted to stay within the system or whatever. And I was like, what?
Jesus.
My agent was like, I've never in my life seen a contract offered and said it's in your court now, decide and let us know. And then you get back to them and they're like, oh yeah, we already gave that away. So I was kind of stuck with my dick in my hand there going, where the fuck am I going to play this year? And it was originally Cardiff that reached out to me, and they wanted to come see if I wanted to play, and I was like, I don't know. And then Andrew Lord, who you might know, called me and asked all about it, and he's like, I'm huge on fitness. I'm huge on video.
Oh, yeah.
I want to coach in the NHL one day. And I'm like, ooh, well, there's strike 1 and 2 right there. And
it's too much because you're at the opposite end.
I'm like, dude,
you want to go enjoy some hockey. You also want to play some good hockey. And
I want to see the world, play hockey, be, a bit of a leader, and have some, respect with the coach where we can have some rapport. And then he's asking me, how are your knuckles, man? How are your hands? Are you ready to go and shit? And I'm like, do you think I'm going to go over there and fight? So I was just like, this Lord guy's a fucking idiot. So I don't want to go play for him. And then I think Finner found out that I was talking to him. So he called me and he's like, here, this is what I'm thinking, man. We'll pay you this. This is how you're going to get treated. This is what I need from you. I need you to, come in and play a lot, and you don't have to, you can fight 0 times if you want, to care less. And then I started looking at Scotland, researching Glasgow, all the golf courses around there. I was like, holy fuck. So I started talking to my wife and saying, do you want to make that jump? Like, it just seems like a breath of fresh air going over there and new experience. I could see a different part of the world. Like, when else could we live over in the UK? So we went over there and did it. And it was awesome. I mean, well, my second game, I took a slap shot in the face and like just destroyed my whole face. So that was kind of a rough welcome to the country. But after that, yeah, it went pretty good after that. And like Finner, everything he said was true and completely honest. And we played there and then had a great year in Glasgow. The fans there are wicked, and everything about it was awesome. But then the reason I was so happy with it is Finner, and he's just a trustworthy dude, and he moved to Manchester the next year. Yeah, and I followed him to Manchester. He asked me to come there and be the captain, and I mean, the barn there wasn't great, but the city was awesome, and their fan base was loyal, the ones that they did have, and city was just wicked. And you go live in England, and Finner was there, so I said, yeah, we'll do that. And I mean, I had just as much fun in Manchester, and the team did really well unexpectedly, and the boys were super tight. I played tons of golf, and my boys were living there, and it was awesome, man. So
it's a great experience that you guys were able to do that. You know what I mean? I always say to guys, like, if if you feel that dream is done, or you can't play it anymore in the NHL, you got to get over to Europe, to somewhere. You know what I mean? It's just, you know what I mean? I spent 12 years there, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made. And speaking of Braehead, it's amazing how actually much of a hockey town that is in Braehead. Well, Glasgow now, as they call it. But like you said, Finnerty, he does a good job. He's a player's coach. He'll fight for the players. He'll do, he's got the players back. And I think that's why he was really successful there in Braehead. And, now being, involved with Manchester, I hope the same thing happens there. I know he'd like to have a better arena, but, hopefully that comes with in some time for him.
Yeah, it was. He does well, man, and he's got your back, and he's a big reason I went there and stayed there. And I just feel fortunate to finish my career the way I wanted to. It was on my own terms. I didn't get injured. I didn't get cut. I didn't get sent down. I didn't just not get a contract and just have to like stay at home and call it a career. I knew it was my last game when it was my last game, and it was just a wicked way to go out. I feel like I was kind of acting like a moron over there. Like, I think I was having trouble coming to terms with the fact that my career was coming to an end. I didn't know what I was playing for. I didn't have the goal of getting called up or staying in the show or whatever it was anymore. Like, so it's kind of like I felt like I was in no man's land, and the reffing there is so outrageously bad that I kind of lost my temper a couple times. But,
oh yeah, there's definitely some bad reffing over there.
Yeah, but all in all, looking back, and I'm just happy that I could end my career on my own terms and know that it was, and just do it the right way. So I'm pretty happy that I made the decision to go over there and play in the UK. It was awesome.
So fans, are European fans more loud than North American fans?
When they get rocking, they are. Like, when they get their chants going and stuff, it's awesome. And that league, you can play in, you can go to Dundee and not really play in front of too many people, and then you can go to Sheffield or Nottingham and play in front of like 10 or 11,000 people. And when they get their chants and their drums and shit going, it's awesome.
You know what you have to check out, like I always bring up every time we talk about Brooksy play in Europe. Give Brooksy a YouTube search on a goal that he scored. They used to dance in the bottom corner.
Fuck. Well, you know what? Jay probably knows about that, because in Braehead they make you do these video things before if you score or anything. I don't know if you had to do that. Did they have that when you were there?
Oh,
Jerry,
I was paying.
Our good friend Jerry McLaughlin.
Jerry, I think I refused it.
Yeah. Priceless.
God, Jerry McLaughlin. There was another guest that we had, an absolute fun.
We had Jerry on the show. He brings a lot of humor, and he loves the game. And I wanted to just get a perspective of him, because he's been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes and growing the hockey over there in Scotland. And with his media, he's actually done a really good job with kind of changing the way they do interviews. And
that's cool.
He's done a really good job, and it was kind of funny to have him on. And I just know that the guys love him, and you just don't want to get invited to his house, because you're never leaving. You're gonna have way too much whiskey, and
you'd probably be so drunk. But and plus, you can't understand. I'm surprised I'll go listen to that one, because I bet it's hard to understand the fucker. He's got such a mean Scottish accent.
Oh, it was hilarious. I thought I almost had to get the Google Translator going at the same time when he was talking.
That's awesome. He's a good guy.
Now, sadly, getting to the conclusion of the show, Jay, each show we like to ask our guests bonus questions, we call them. It's just a simple question where it's a one-word answer. Unless you want to get into a story, we welcome stories on the show, obviously. But myself and Brooksy will ask you one more question each for a bonus question before we officially wrap up. And I always go first because, believe it or not, people do like Brooksy's question more. He did. There was a little poll taken. There's one question that he asked frequently that people liked more. But even though he doesn't go to that go-to as much anymore, trying to change it up, I think I've taken the mantle of the better questions. What is your most memorable hockey experience overall? Could be NHL, before the pros. What is something that you most remember?
Probably like one of two first games. My first game in the NHL, and then my first game for the Flyers. First game in the NHL, my dad flew down last minute. I got a picture of me coming down the tunnel, like touching kids' hands, and I just happened to look up, and he got a spot right at the end of the tunnel and took this picture that I still have. That it was just a candid shot. I didn't even know he was there. I looked up, and he happened to grab this picture of my first game. I remember afterwards having a beer with him and just being like, I fucking did it. Like, I did it. I've been obsessed with playing the show since I was a kid, and now I can die saying that I've done it. So that was just a huge day for me. And then first game for the Flyers, it was against the Maple Leafs. I fought Orzi, and I scored the winning goal of that game. I mean, that's obviously probably my best NHL game. So that was a huge night for me too. So just a couple of firsts in the NHL is what I kind of remember the most.
So those are good stories. Brooksy.
Yeah, well, my question is, I'm just curious, along the way or even before as a young kid, was there someone that, influenced you to become the type of player you are? It could even be a captain you had or an older guy. I'm just curious if there was somebody that really like kind of molded you, and, to give them some credit right now of, who is, your backbone of, who guided you into the kind of player and man you are.
It'd probably be three people. It'd be my dad, my brother, and Don Cherry if I had to fucking lay out names. But like my dad and brother, like my brother's older than me. He let me do everything that he did. He let me hang out with his friends. He let me, do what he was doing basically. And my dad would just, we'd get a Don Cherry tape. I rock 'em sock 'em every single Christmas, and we'd watch it. And my dad, he would just be like, holy shit at all the big hits, and holy fuck with the fights. And my brother would say that, and my brother started playing bantam hockey. They started hitting everybody, and then I remember saying, I want to fucking go hit everybody. And then my dad and brother were like, oh, you might get put on your ass. And I was like, fuck that. And then so just kind of following, just seeing how they approach the game and the physical side of it and how much they liked it. I was like, yeah, I can't wait to play hit hockey. And those Don Cherry tapes, I mean, no one watched the fucking goals or the saves or anything. Everyone watched those big hits and the fights and all
baby.
all the rock 'em sock 'em. So that's what I was just loving. Couldn't wait for another one to come out. And we just started playing that way. And I remember playing like bantam, like everyone would cheer and go nuts for the biggest hit, like way more than for the best goal or whatever. You're just a bunch of dumb 14-year-olds, and you're just so jacked up with, new testosterone and everything that's happening with kids of that age. And we just loved that style of hockey and watching the Don Cherry tapes at sleepovers and stuff. And it's just kind of the culture in my town and with my family, I guess, to just get excited over that physical stuff. And I think that's kind of what started me on the path of getting jacked up by that shit.
Oh, I thought it'd be Stripling would be the guy that you would say would be a guy that you would looked up to.
Who's that?
Your coach there, Sterling.
Sterling.
Oh yeah. See, he had to mess up one name. He did it.
Strickland.
Rock'em Sock'em though, I have the whole collection. Everyone has that. If you're a true hockey fan and you have that Rock'em Sock'em, that's what you grew up watching. Don Cherry's stuff was absolutely fantastic. Now, Jay, I want to give you the floor here before we officially wrap up. Do you have anything that you want to give a shout out to, maybe your social media for people to follow, or anything that you are involved with in particular that you'd like to give promotion to, a shout out to? I want to give the floor is yours.
No, not here to pump anything or promote anything, man. I just kind of look at golf and muscle cars and a little bit of hockey on Instagram, and don't really try to promote anything. I kind of like the move back to my hometown here that I live in, that I grew up in, and I'm just buddies with my buddies that I grew up with, and just like the lifestyle out here. But I appreciate what you guys are doing, and having me on the show is appreciated. It's fun to reminisce and bullshit about stuff with like-minded guys, and yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on the show, and I hope your guys' your show does all good things in the future, man. You guys sound like you're doing a lot of good stuff.
It's definitely going good, and it's definitely been great with myself and Brooksy and the crew, and to have yourself come on and the guests that we have, it's fantastic. And certainly when we get you hopefully on the show sometime again in your future, maybe with a type of show where you someone that you've played with, maybe we'll get Colton Orr on or some down the road, and you come on and talk about your Tilly or something. It'd be fun to get you on again sometime. It was certainly great. So I appreciate you taking the time. Brooksy, I'll let you say your goodbyes. I can't have all
the yeah, I just want to thank you for coming. It's really appreciated, and I wish you all the best in the future, my friend.
Same to you, man. It's good playing against you, and good to hear from you again. I'm glad to hear things are going good, Brooksy.
I wish you guys would have fought when you played. That would have been
It would have been unfair. I would have been punching his nutsack.
we would have just been making fun of whatever the gong show of the day was that day and just chatting on the ice rather than fighting.
Love that. Now, again, thank you again to you, Jay. Brooksy, thank you for taking the time, and also to everyone in the background with the Game Sports Show, the Game Entertainment Media, all the listeners. Make sure you hit like, follow, subscribe. Yes, I said that on all the platforms of the game, which I remind you is on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Podbean, Podtail, Facebook, Instagram, and our website, thegamesportshow.com. Just search us on Google. We're right there. And I'm now going to get to the famous sign-off line. I'd like to call it self-proclaimed famous sign-off line. I'd like to remind you to keep your stick on the ice, swing your bats, catch your touchdowns, drain your threes, and shoot your shots. Booyah.